Hey, what's up? It's Love Toy Shit. I'm here with Derrick, aka Candy Boy,
Hell yeah.
in the building. I'm so grateful for him, showing love to the Love Tour. So we're here right now. What part of Orlando? I mean, where we at?
Gainesville.
Gainesville. Is it a certain type of city in Gainesville?
I mean, Gainesville's really small, but like I'm right by the campus.
Oh yeah, we right by UF. So
Yeah.
shouts out to UF.
Hell yeah.
We were just sitting here talking, and it's just so funny because if you look at us, we look so different. But one thing we have in common for sure that I must say is that it's Sag life.
Hell yeah.
He's a Sag, so shouts out to Sages. We were just sitting here talking about like drugs, a little bit of drugs, a little bit of love. So, do you want to like just bring up anything in particular, or you want me to like flow it in and answer?
Well, lead the conversation, and I think it'll develop naturally.
All right. Well, one thing we could talk about is drugs. I don't usually talk about that enough, but like I love how he connected to it because right now I'm in a place like I've been sober all day, and that's a big ass accomplishment for me. I don't know when I've been like sober for a day for a while, but I have plans to be sober, and one of the reasons why is because like and overall, like, we could explain what it is, but what he said was so important. He was like, he realized, like, when he really thought about it, like, what he put into it, the money that he invested into smoking in general, like, what do you gain from it? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I just, like, recognized that I was, like, selling myself short by, like, being dependent on these drugs, and I was limiting, like, my expression where I would end up staying inside on weekends, and, like, I was so easy to default to just, like, smoking weed and like viewing that as like what I'm doing tonight.
Exactly.
When in reality I'm like limiting myself to like all these like amazing people that could like, you know, give me these positive experiences that I could use in my life and take away from them. So yeah, I just like, it's hard when you're so caught in a habit, like even going a single day is like monumental.
Yeah, like, especially with weed, because a lot of times people like to say you're not addicted to weed, and you may not be addicted to weed, but it's something. I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's a depression. I don't know if it's. I don't even want to say it's depression because sometimes I smoke when I'm happy, but it's like, is it like an attachment or what is it?
I actually have something that I always thought was really interesting with weed, where like when I was in like my like, you know, fucking heyday of smoking where I was smoking multiple times a day, I like would use any reason to smoke where like I could be happy and I would be like, oh, like I'm with my friends, let's all smoke. Or if I like was really sad about a relationship that didn't go well, I'm like, oh man, I'm really sad, I should smoke. I could be like really busy in the day and I'd be like, I gotta get high for my busy day, or I could have nothing to do and then I'd be like, all right, let me like get high. You know, I just found that like I could always kind of trick my brain into giving myself a reason, but I don't know, like my true self understood that it wasn't what I actually wanted.
True. And it's also sometimes like with me when I would smoke, like it's so funny how weed is such a priority. Like you have so many things planned for the day, be like, but then you'll be like, let me smoke first or whatever the case may be. And I used to trick myself, and I don't know if it was a trick, but I'll be like, you know, I have like a short attention span, so I'll smoke and be like, okay, this is gonna help me read, and then I'll get there and just be high as fuck, and I'm still like, I wonder how it would be because like today I was sober doing the same thing I usually do. Like my job now, it requires a lot of like reading and videos and stuff like that, so it's like online classes, you know, and just staying focused with that is just always hard. And I thought that weed would help me, but literally the same way I would be on weed was how I was today, but if nothing else I was more concentrated on the fact of what I need to accomplish, enough to the point where it's like I felt like I had more time in the day to do what I wanted. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but overall, like I would definitely not ever give up weed. Like weed is just something, like you said, it's always a comfort. It's always something that you could go to that you know is gonna take you out of the feeling, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes I feel like it helps enhance your own emotions. Sometimes it don't though.
Yeah, no, I think like with everything there's a time and place for it, and you know, I like was talking to you about this before, like my relationship with weed is completely different than anybody else's relationship with weed.
True.
And that like I haven't been able to maybe live like my life to the fullest because of weed, but I know people that have really healthy relationships with weed, and it really is just like should be treated on a case-by-case basis.
True. And because there's some people that, you know, they'll smoke and they can't run. Like with me, when I smoke, I don't want to work out. Like I feel like I can't breathe and shit. And then I know my friend, she'll smoke and go and work out and do crazy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but and there's some people that can smoke and then create music and draw, and it heightens their creativity. And I think for me, to a certain extent, it does. You know, it's just finding a balance that works for your life.
Exactly, I agree. But another thing I want to pop up, because we both in agreement with that. Like, if I have weed, it's like no in between. Like, either I'm in it or I'm not. So a lot of times, moderation just means like either I'm excluding it or I'm indulging in it. There's no middle. So it's hard for me to balance that. I had to accept that about myself, because, you know, a lot of people could say, oh, we're going to do a little bit or try to get structures and things that is not even like realistic.
Yeah. And it goes back to like it being, you know, decided on an individual level, because I have a really addictive personality where like anything that I'm getting into, like if I buy a 6-pack, I'm gonna like finish a 6-pack if nobody's fucking drinking it, right? Like,
I see.
Like, so, you know, acknowledging that like was so important, and like the common sense, the logical reaction to it was to, you know, for me to stop smoking, and then maybe like down the line I can come back to weed and have a healthy relationship with it. But I'm just gonna like play it by ear and, you know, enjoy my sobriety.
And also just acknowledge the phases of things. I want to bring that into another thing that we was talking about, because I think it's so essential for people to understand relationships. You know, every relationship has its own purpose, but it's so temporary, you know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like, even with, if you're using weed or anything that you use, like learning to moderate it is so important, and knowing that it's temporary. Like, I just want people to know that you should just appreciate the time now. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times people don't appreciate it, and that's why either they're trying to enhance it with like a weed, or they're trying to like avoid it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, they're trying to like ignore it just by getting out of their like, you know, normal way of thinking.
Exactly. And how do you feel about that?
I think I can't judge other people's like use of drugs, because I haven't lived their life. I'm not going to sit here and high horse them and be like, oh, it's weak for you to go to drugs because this happened or that happened. But I think in a perfect world, people can overcome their hardships without drugs, and I think that comes with a lot of like mental training and meditation. But I'm not going to sit here and judge somebody that smokes every day because they've lived a completely different life than me, you know?
I agree. I find that very interesting. But the thing about me, when I thought about that, it's not even with drugs, but like the fact that I feel like so many people are trying to find something to distract them from them. Like, it's so funny, because like right now, like on this love tour, it's like it's forcing me to deal with things. Like, first I was trying to disguise it with the weed, then I was trying to disguise it with love, and just disguise it with just all type of things to keep myself filled up, but I wasn't really gaining. You know? And then it got to a point where it was like I was just smoking a lot, waking up, my chest hurting and shit, my lips black, and it's like, damn, overnight you'll be surprised. But that's just drugs. It could be like that even with food. It could be like that with anything. But the concept of what I was trying to say is like, how do you feel about, do you feel like it's a good thing to like, I don't want to say distract, but like be in a place where you're not.
I think in this conversation we're like talking about more common. We're talking about like people that use drugs like on more of a daily, weekly basis, and I think for the most part in those situations, as long as it's not helping like a health issue, like, you know, schizophrenia or something, I think usually most drug use could be, I don't know, it could be a little pointless in the grand scheme of your life. And I think if more people understood who they were as a person and were more comfortable with themselves and just was happy to like wake up in their body and go throughout their day, they'd end up being much more productive and live a much more fulfilling life. Because that was the case with me. Because when I like was smoking every day for like, I don't know, like 7 years straight, I just kind of was walking through the world with this cloudy mind, and I kind of felt like I wasn't proud of the work I was doing, and I was just like doing the bare minimum to get by. But when I had quit for a year, I like was doing everything I wanted to do, and I was like proud of myself, and I was just like waking up really happy to like live my life, not with this drug that I'm dependent on for happiness.
So why do you think you went back? I know you took a long time, but what was it that actually pushed you back? Because I know every day that you smoke, just because you started smoking, like, I don't care if it's 3 years, you probably always gonna want to have that feeling. But
right, because I think I've like thought about this a little bit, and one idea I have is that when I started smoking, I started smoking at 15 years of age, and I got so into it that I was smoking every day for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like it changed in a way it kind of changed my perception of having fun and enjoyment, where now I connect it with drug use, right? And I feel like I need to have fun if I'm on drugs, and if it's not weed, I should be drinking. And in reality, the best mentality or the best mindset to have is being 100% happy with yourself. And these drugs can create an experience that is enjoyable, but it's not something that you're using to complete you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so funny to trick yourself, because you could tell yourself anything. You know what I'm saying? In general, that's why I want you to get it's about drugs, and I'm glad that we're bringing that up, because that's something that people don't like to talk about, especially with something as sensitive as weed.
Oh, I have a good one, because with a lot of these friend groups that I've been in, or I'm sure you've been in friend groups, that weed is an essential part of it.
Exactly.
But with some of my friends, we even talk about, oh my God, we do all we do is smoke. We kind of laugh about our problems rather than really taking them seriously and doing something about it, because it's easier. It's so much easier when you're kind of just joking about it and being we're such fuck ups, we're such degenerates. But at a certain point, you're gonna be okay, I kind of am a loser just smoking every day, not doing anything with my life. That's kind of where I had to really make the decision. Whereas am I really living my life to the fullest potential when I'm waking up and taking a hit, and then I do a little bit of work, and then I'm okay, well, let me take another hit to get I don't know, it just wasn't worth it for me.
I feel you on that completely. But my question would be though, if you were to be in a place where you didn't smoke, how do you feel?
Wait, are you saying if I had never smoked, or if...
Or once you have smoked, because I can tell you how I feel with just stopping smoking or whatever, and how it's affecting me. All yesterday I had a headache on the top of my head, and it's just because the day before I smoked a lot, and then I was kind of sobering off of it, but I had a headache. It gives me certain effects, so it's but besides the physical effects, when you don't smoke, is it you feeling you doing something good, or are you feeling you lacking?
So the thing that I've noticed when I've tried stopping to smoke, or what I'm doing now, is the initial days are harder, because it's so much easier to give into this short-term satisfaction, but it's much more valuable to acknowledge that these times that you're smoking every day is really just taking you farther from the end goal, or at least that's in my case. Yeah. So here's another thing about kind of the question of lacking or feeling fulfilled when you're not smoking. I think if you are truly happy and understand who you are as a person, drugs wouldn't do anything but just give you a heightened sense at certain experiences, but it should only be as an add-on and not a part of who you are.
True. But it's so funny, it's funny that you say that though, because weed is one thing that has stuck with me since high school. So you saying it's not a part of me, but that's the only thing that's been consistent. So it's so that's why I used to say, I was man, I'm smoking weed because that's the only thing that I know for sure. You know what I'm saying? It does bring a form of comfort or whatever the case may be, but I like what you're saying though, because even with me right now, I had to choose to stop smoking, and even though I had a headache, and sometimes I'd be man, I want to smoke, and it's always going to be in the back of my head, I feel I'm just learning to accept that I do feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel I want to do more. I went to the skate park, I told you.
Yeah.
And I bust my ass multiple.
Yeah. No, but by for me, when I smoke less, I go out more.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
I'm just taking part in these experiences, meeting these people that I otherwise wouldn't.
True.
And I think those experiences are much more important and valuable than the experiences of me just inviting my friend over, that the only reason I hit him up is to smoke. True. And then I don't know.
True. That's a lot of things that holds a lot of people together, but overall I just think it's about moderation. And I love how you said once you it's showing that it's something off within you, because anytime that you're indulging in anything in a way where it's overindulging,
Yeah, then it's a problem.
Then it's a problem.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
feel like that's something, you know, you're looking for some type of comfort on the outside rather than the inside. So it is a big thing, whether it comes with love or whatever the case may be, because with me, those are my two things, weed and love. That's like, that it always gets me every time. Like, I feel like that's what brings me satisfaction. But overall, like, I would look forward to a day when I'm like saying that I haven't smoked in like a year or so. So I didn't plan for this video to be only about drugs.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're the best person to talk to about this, because like you could really relate to the situation. Like, we both going through this together.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think a lot of people have mixed feelings about their like drug use in regards to weed or alcohol, and I think it's important to hear people that are going through similar like problems, and like, you know, just understanding that, you know, you can get to the end of it.
I heard something that said, whenever you have a habit, you have to replace it with another habit.
Yeah.
You believe that too then?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's always a big thing. People say they want to stop smoking or whatever the case may be. Like, it's not, in reality, like, if you not supplementing with that smoking, with like sipping tea or doing something else, like, you're gonna want to, you're probably gonna go back to smoke. Yeah, something.
If you're, it's so much harder if you're just sitting in your room.
It really is. Just thinking that you know, you're gonna start distracting yourself and making you feel like, you know, you actually hurting yourself, or you like, I don't know, because like it was a point where it was like, if I know I have access to the weed and I'm not smoking in it, then it's like, why am I not? Now it's like I'm not listening to myself, you know. So it's like your mind could really affect you so many ways right now. But I'm grateful to say that I'm sober for this video.
Hey, 3 days sober.
Oh yeah.
No, but I gave away my bong. I'm trying to.
Wow.
I'm trying to be serious about it.
Yeah, I feel you on that. It's been like a long process of me giving away a lot of things too, like I had bowls and stuff like that, and I give it away, and then I still, you know, be smoking it. It's like, I don't know. It's so hard to stay out, but once you dive into it, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it only gets easier. Like the first couple days, I stopped. It was like I would wake up, and my brain would be like, oh, like you should smoke like every other day in the past 7 years, and then I'd be like, no, I'm not smoking today, and then fucking 15 minutes later, it's like in my mind again. So those are the times that are really fucking hard.
Exactly.
And like, you need to get through those days. And then like after a week, it's going to be so much easier to just like disregard those thoughts and then go about your day, you know, and then it just gets easier and easier over time.
That's what I needed to hear. We're going to wrap this up though. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was a nice,
Word.
Cohesive conversation.
Respect. For anybody that's going through anything with drugs, I just want you to know that it's okay, like, to be off balance. I feel like that's one thing that makes us a human, but you have to acknowledge everything that you're doing. Don't feel like when you're distracting yourself that you're just distracting yourself. Know that it's a reason why you're doing that to yourself, and really just try to be mindful of that, you know?
Yeah, and I guess one other thing would be that, like, you don't need to go cold turkey, like, on day one.
Yeah.
You can... And you shouldn't be like super hard on yourself where if you give into smoking or drinking, you just are telling yourself how much of a failure you are. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to acknowledge steps in the right direction and go into you stopping the addiction with that mindset.
Hell yeah. And one of the biggest things, once you know what you want, like, you know, even if it's not flowing exactly how you want, don't feel like you can't get there. Like, once you already decide, like we both decided that we want to be sober, even if, you know, we take time and we, like what you said, we do indulge into it, the fact that we know we want to be sober, that in itself is gonna put us in situations like I'm here now and I see stop smoking on, like little signs like that. Like, you just don't know. So just be grateful for life. And yes, love to our shit.